Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast, More Than a Mortgage. I'm your host, Gavin Sessions, leader of the Sessions Group. Really appreciate you tuning in here. This podcast is all about storytelling, but we're in a season where we're trying to pivot and add value along with story. So excited to make that pivot and excited to have Carly Anderson here today as our guest. Carly was super gracious in being willing to come on the show. And so we're grateful to have her here. She's got a great story. We're excited to get into it. I don't know it all that well, so I get to learn along with the audience, which is cool. But I thought we'd kick it off with a quick hello. How are you doing, Carly?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today. Let's do an icebreaker if you're, and I already prepped you on this, so I'm not going to totally blindside you.
Sure.
I thought it'd be fun to kick it off with a story about your first client. Can you maybe bring us up to speed there? And there's probably some fun things to share.
Yeah. So my first client was, and I feel like this happens a lot in real estate actually, but my first client was, it was my in-laws. Okay. And it was my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, and they had moved to a new home just the year prior and were just not loving the area. And so they wanted to move back. And I was just barely, I had been licensed for less than 6 months, and I was just barely going off on my own as a solo agent from a team. So I very well told them, hey, this is probably not your best bet. Like, you guys, you really need to have somebody who knows what they're doing listing your home, especially working as a listing agent and not a buyer's agent. There's just, it's nicer to have some more experience behind you.
Yep.
And so I actually brought on my own mentor, Mackenzie Johnson. She's incredible. She's an agent here still. And she was like my big sister when I first started. She was awesome. So she sat down with me and really made sure that I did everything right. And that was really helpful. And as we were listing their house, it's the same things that you always hear, right? It's, hey, we got to declutter, we got to depersonalize, because we want the buyer to feel like this is their home. We don't want them seeing you, right? They get distracted when they start seeing, and that goes to like cleanliness, to clutter. Like we don't want them to see your filth. We don't want them to see your stuff. We want this house to feel as new as it can be, like a fresh breath of air. And so my mother-in-law was like, hey, put away all these things. And she loves polished pottery and has some really beautiful blue and white vases and whatnot. So I had her put them all away. And obviously I'm brand new. And then I came in and I was like, oh gosh, it's just like really tan in here everywhere. So I was like, hey, we're going to bring in some staging and kind of fluff it up a little bit. And so she kind of laughed and gave me a hard time. She was like, we just put all this away for you to come now and bring out more. I'm like, yeah, and now I realize that's really like a lot of the staging process, right? Is I have a big closet where if I'm doing supplemental staging, if, my clients have great furniture, I'm not going to really remove that. But, so we did it with this house, but I did bring in just like the little things like towels and pillows and blankets and artwork for the walls and, countertop decor and whatnot. And so they really insisted on using me, which to this day, I actually did a reel about this one time. It was just very heartwarming because, they knew I was brand new. They knew I had no experience at all. And just really put their faith in me doing a good job. And my father-in-law was like, no, I know you're going to work hard and do the best you can. And I think this is going to be great. And it was a great transaction. We got a full ask offer right away. And the inspection went well, and they were obviously really easy people to work with. So that helped. So they were my first ones. And I will say, as much as I was nervous and I kind of wanted them to use someone else because I don't want to mess this up. Like, you're my family. Like, you're not just some random person off the street. We're going to hear about this for years if I, do something wrong. It was really sweet because it gave me a lot of confidence moving forward because it ended up going really well. And then I kind of fell in love with the listing process at that point. So yeah, those were my first people.
I love that. Often I tell people, and this wasn't planned, that our competitive advantage is with our people in our lives, right? If you think about it. So your in-laws are definitely inside what you'd call your sphere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I talk about the 25% rule a lot on this podcast and just in general life with anybody that'll listen to it. But 25% of people are going to be totally for you, right?
Right.
And if you can spend your time nurturing and caring for that 25% of people, that's who you're going to win, right?
Yeah.
And so to be able to start with your in-laws, which are very much in that top 25% in your competitive advantage sphere, that's a great way to go. Great way to get started.
Yeah.
You weren't going to probably lose that one to another agent, at least not on the front end of it, right?
No, they really insisted on it. And so, I was fortunate for that, for sure.
Cool. So you got to cut your teeth with a listing right away too, which
Yeah.
is probably also not super normal unless.
No, usually you start as a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
And I still remained buyer heavy. And honestly, I flip-flop between like 60-40 buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
But because we're such an inbound state, we have so many people coming from outbound that I would say a lot of agents still always have buyers and just more expand. Like right now I have a newer showing assistant who helps me so that I can focus more on the listing side. And I mean, I'm still working directly with my buyers, but she's helping show homes. So I get some time back there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'd love to hear about your journey from your first transaction, obviously, to where we are today. And you can bring us along with as much detail as you'd like. But maybe we should mention the fact that you're very pregnant at this point. And I think you said yesterday that it was your 36-week mark yesterday. So you're expecting here in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm really close. So this is our fourth baby, fourth and final as far as we're concerned. And we have 3 boys. And so this is a surprise. It was a planned baby, but a surprise. We don't know if it's going to be a boy or girl.
Yep.
So it'll be really fun to find out. So yeah, we're around the corner from that and seeing what it's going to be. So it definitely makes you antsy to get there.
Yeah. With our new timelines, we should have this episode out before the baby shows up, of course, unless, of course, you decide to have the baby early, which
hopefully not, but we'll see.
None of us can control that.
Yeah.
So.
Not a lot in my hands.
That's awesome. And surprise, you don't know if this one's going to be another boy or a girl, which is super cool. Yeah. You are also, this is work, right? This is one of the most fun things I get to do for work, but you're obviously still working, right? And so tell us a little bit about that drive and that passion.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of all I've known. When I started real estate in 2018, my oldest was just over 1. And so I've always kind of had a baby on my hip. And I will say I didn't really believe that I could do this. That was kind of what I was told with different people I'd worked with in the beginning is like, hey, you better have a live-in nanny or family 24/7 that can pick up your kids and pretty much raise them for you because this industry is going to suck you in and eat you alive. Like you have to be here 24/7. And I thought, gosh, that's really not what I want to do. And so, to go around to that, basically, I mean, from my first to now, I thank God, never written a contract from a hospital bed. I've heard that before. I fortunately have not been in those shoes. And I always say it's a God thing. It's like realtors will say, you go on vacation and all the calls start coming in. And that for sure has happened. I've written offers on vacation and whatnot. But I really just took some time to just enjoy when they were little. And then that mixed with just believing that I couldn't be doing all the work when they were little. I didn't really produce a ton in those baby years. So, but I did have, with my 2 youngest, I did have closings where I was real pregnant in those pictures. And 2 days before I'm having the baby, I'm at a closing. And I'm like, hey, I hope I'll be there. And if I'm not, someone else will show up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, working right up until it's just, I almost get this like exciting energy to like do as much as I can. And then, like I said, and then at the end of the day, just trust the rest because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes buyers pivot. Sometimes they find something when they weren't expecting to right away, or they take a break. But it really seems to always work out that it kind of works around what's happening in life. So I always say that's a God thing because
Amen.
I'm hoping that same thing happens this time, but I've definitely have great people now in place to help if needed. So,
well, super cool.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe let's rewind. You started with a family member listing. Were they also buyers for you then as well?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
So we turned around, we went and bought new construction. And so that was kind of interesting because I had to have their home sold within a certain amount of time for them to, but builders oftentimes don't want you to have a contingent offer.
Yep.
And so we went and turned around and bought a brand new home. So
you got 2 for the price of 1.
I did.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then from there, take us kind of through what the first year looked like. And what I would love to hear from you is kind of how did we get from there to here? I would say you're a very successful real estate agent at this point, and I think many would look to you and want to emulate your story as much as they could. So we'd love
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kind of
I
hear
would
from
tell
you.
them to cut off the first like 3 or 4 years, but I'll get to that. So yeah. So when I first started, like I said, I started off on a top team. They still are a great team here. They're incredible agents. I just very quickly realized how much time I was putting in, and the team atmosphere is everything I wanted because I got to be with other people.
Yeah.
I'm a people person. And when you're on your own, sometimes this can be like lonely, right?
Yes.
You're just on your own, and you have your lender relationships, and I have a TC, but, actually at the time I didn't have a TC. So you're just kind of running your own show if you're not with a team. And so that was my main goal, and really wanting to experience from people who did a really great job. I want to know how to be like them. Right.
Yeah.
But had I not had a child at the time, I probably would have just been a workhorse and just went full force and stayed with it. I think having a little guy at home, and when you're in this job at first, you're not making anything. You know how that goes. You're 100% commission. So my husband's making all the money. He's picking him up. He's taking him to daycare. He's doing dinner while I'm trying to write contracts at night. And I was making a very small amount. And after about 4.5 months, it just became really clear that this wasn't going to work out the way I thought it was going to.
Okay.
And so that's when I decided to part ways and go on my own, which was never my plan. And I really hung on to words of, I've talked about this a lot on my social media too, of just, you can't be a great mom and a great realtor. You kind of have to pick one, because this industry is demanding, and you need to, like I said, have a full-time someone there. My husband's always been in the Guard, so at least 1 weekend every single month, he's out of service. He can't help with the kids because he's on base. And so right away I was like, gosh, how am I going to do this? So I really clung on to that belief. And
Sorry to clarify, you clung on to the belief that you couldn't do it?
couldn't do both.
Okay.
Yeah. Couldn't be a great realtor. Couldn't be a great mom. If you're going to do great production, then you're going to miss out on
So it's a trade-off.
everything. You're going to miss games. You're not going to be there. They're going to be in full-time daycare. And not to say that that's not okay, like to each their own.
Yeah.
It just wasn't something that I was loving at the time, because having a full-time daycare and then sometimes you work nights or weekends, it's like, when am I going to see my kids? This is not what I want to sign up for.
So was there a responsibility for being part of the team that was maybe taking more hours from you than you wanted to give?
Yeah. I showed up every day to the office.
Okay.
It was every weekend. I mean, it was every weekend. It was like, hey, we have to host these open houses. It was a very successful agent. So we were, signed up who's doing this open house, who's doing that one. And they were great open house opportunities. But you think an open house is just a 3 or 4 hour, maybe 3 hour deal, but it's prepping before, it's making sure you know all the stats, the houses around, what's sold. So it really does take a big part of the day. So it came to a point where I'm like asking, hey, like I have some family coming to McCall. We might leave and take the weekend off. And it was like, sorry. I'm like, I feel like I got in this so I could do my own thing. I'm feeling like an employee.
Yeah.
And that's not what I wanted to do. And that's not how every team is run either.
Sure.
But that was kind of what really helped me pivot to going on my own, which felt very scary at the time.
Yeah.
And I've talked to another agent yesterday who just said the same thing. And she's like, well, I'm on a team and they provide my signage and they provide this for me. And I'm just really scared to go on my own. And I was like, listen, you're me 5 years ago. I get it. I was totally there.
Yeah.
It's not that scary. It's not hard to get signs. You can go to Canva and get a logo made. Things are so easy today with that. Ultimately, if you're going to work really hard and if you can run with the tools given to you, you can monetize your time in a completely different way. And my business is 180 what it was when I was on a team. So
180 probably in all sorts of ways, right? From
Yeah.
a systems process, how do you spend your time, income, all those things, right?
Yep. Yeah. I get to be the driver of my income, which is great.
Yep.
I use social media as a lead magnet. So I credit all that to a lot of people who just happen to be in my path who helped me do that.
Yeah.
And now I'm part of a group who that's really what we all do. And they're all mom realtors who say, we're writing contracts from the carpool line. So I think being around people, once I found that room, my business went, I 7X my business in 1 year. Just being around those people. So it was very enlightening to me of having that belief before, if I can't do this, to being around a bunch of people, women who are doing $20 million in production every year. and still have their babies on their hips. And that doesn't mean they're not doing a great job and that they're not fully focused on their work.
Right.
They've just learned how to scale and how to have systems in place to allow them to do so. So once I bought into that, it was great.
So limiting belief mindset early on
Yeah.
can't be both great mom and great real estate agent.
Yep.
Just believing that it's going to be a trade-off, right?
Mhm.
Which is, that doesn't feel great. That's
Right.
not very encouraging or inspiring. It's like, I
Yeah.
want to do both things well. Can't there be a way to do that?
Right. I think that's what all moms want to do. A lot of us are working today, and we all,
Yeah.
no one wants to miss out on everything. So,
Right.
yeah.
And then kind of as I would say, we often start to look like the people that we hang out with,
Mhm.
right? And so you changed the room that you were hanging out in, right? You were with maybe one group of people over here that was helping contribute to a limiting belief, and then all of a sudden you're in this other room over here. Circumstances forced you to leave the team, and now you have other influences that are kind of telling you the opposite, that
Totally.
hey, there actually is the way to do both of these things and do it really, really well.
Yeah.
Now, let's not propagate the lie that there isn't still trade-offs, right?
Sure.
There has to be, right?
Yeah.
We're in a career path that we've chosen because the rewards are really good, and supposedly so is the freedom. Sorry, let me back up.
Freedom in real estate.
So let's say it differently. I totally said the wrong word, so maybe we can edit that out. But
Yeah.
we've chosen a career path where the rewards are excellent and the flexibility is awesome, but
Yeah.
the freedom is not necessarily always there, right? Because sometimes there's demands of our time, right? Sometimes there's urgency.
Yeah.
And so
Timelines
that's when trade-offs are real, right?
Yep. Totally. And there's definitely times where it's like you're always going to be making decisions of which way you want to go.
Yeah.
To say that I've never missed a baseball game would totally be a lie.
Right.
But at the same time, we were in baseball this spring. I had 3 boys in sports for the first time ever, and I only missed 2. And spring is our crazy season, right?
That's wild.
Like that's wild. So that was fortunate. And again, it just kind of worked out that way. And now having a show assistant, that helped too. But I was like, listen, we have 3 games a week. It's okay. Mom misses 1 for the season,
Yes.
So, but yeah, obviously there's always trade-offs for sure. So
I kind of joke that Little League Baseball, who attends those games?
parents.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is get beyond Little League Baseball audience here on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because you obviously have a huge fan base of family and friends that follow you and are in your top 25%, and they're going to be for you in anything that you do.
Yeah.
And we want them to really enjoy this. And at the same point in time, we're looking to create content that goes beyond the Little League Baseball audience. So I couldn't resist saying that just because we were kind of talking about that baseball.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So mindset shifted dramatically.
Yeah.
You've got now other influences telling you that you can do both things well. And that's been the story, correct?
Yeah, that's how I got sucked in. I was on Instagram, and I'm already on Instagram just personally, and she's telling me how she's making all the 6 figures, but still, and doing all the things with her kids. And I was just like, this is not possible. And so it took me a while to move over to them. I moved brokerages, and I'll say I had a hard time leaving. I'm very loyal to a fault. I was at Keller Williams. I still love my old broker there. I had a great experience there, but it was, anytime you wanted a meeting, you had to be in the office. It was just very much not conducive to the life that I was trying to live with little kids at home, right? Two that weren't even in school. Yeah. So this was everything's on Zoom, and you're connected with realtors all around the country. So it also really helps with referrals, because I have people who move here from Tennessee or from California, and they need to sell a home. And I just finished another referral with an agent there, because now I can connect with someone who I know is actually great and is in our group.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, oh, I hope this goes well,
Right.
And so hearing her talk about it, I was like, all right, I almost want to just like prove you wrong. There's no way, right? Like this just seems kind of too good to be true. And sure enough, I got inside the room, and it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And like I said, it 7X'd my business in the first year. It went crazy. And all I thought was, if I can just do a little bit more, I'll be good.
Yeah.
And it was wild what it just took off. And to kind of go back to who you're around, that's what I've told a couple other agents who have joined underneath me now, that, it's really pretty difficult to be surrounded by these people and not do well. So the biggest hurdle you have is don't follow the shiny object. There's a lot of women doing incredible things. Some of them are billing $28 million a year. That's not a goal of mine. I still have littles at home. Her kids are now in college. We're in different places.
Yeah.
And if that's a goal of yours too, we would like to each their own. But it's more of like, okay, I have to 'cause we all get competitive and it's exciting and I love what I do. But at some point you're trading your time and maybe too much of it. And so I have to be careful with that.
Oh yeah. We all have to be careful with that. I often find myself on Instagram and I make myself an appointment every morning to scroll and to comment, and Mac Miller sat in that seat a few weeks ago and she's like, hey, do 10, 10, 5 and 10 likes, 10 comments and then 5 shares or 5 DMs. I'm like, okay, cool. Yep. That's great. It's a way to get on there and do it. If I'm not careful, I get sucked into the shiny object on Instagram and it makes me feel like crap about my own business. I'm not even doing the right things, right?
I know.
It's like, oh, my podcast is terrible. I should be doing this instead. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Don't be so impressionable and don't be so quick to follow the next thing, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I've had to turn off people who I totally respect and think they're great, but you get in that comparison world and it's like comparison's the thief of joy. And so you got to stay grounded in what, sit down and write down what you want.
Right.
And it's hard to do that for sure.
Do you have 7 points to 7x your business in 1 year? How would you, if somebody said, hey, tell me how you did that.
Yeah.
And could I do the same thing if I wanted to? Where would you start?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really not as difficult as it would sound. I started with, I took a social media class from, I could have gotten it for free if I was already in this room, but I paid for it before I got in. And she just kind of taught me about social media and how to use it as a tool. And I really saw that as a good opportunity because instead of just sitting there and scrolling mindlessly, it was like, well, I might as well be doing something that's bettering my life. Right.
Yeah.
And so I started following what she said. That had a huge impact. I was like, there's no way people are going to reach out to me and say, hey, can we buy a house? And sure enough, within months, it was, you're being consistent.
Yeah. She
called it the 90 days of suck, which it kind of was because I was posting twice a day and it was a lot. And it's a learning curve, right? That was a commitment to start learning how to do all that. But then it really did take off and I would get DMs from like I do now of just, hey, I love what you share and you share some personal stuff, mostly work stuff, but also this is why I love living in Boise. This is what it looks like. Obviously I'm talking to moms because I'm a mom.
Yep.
This is the parks that I go to. These are the, I love these neighborhoods because we can bike and walk to school, whatever it is. And people really relate to that to the point where, I had buyers from Michigan and Virginia and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. These people are just from everywhere. And one time I sat down, it was a really sweet client of mine now, past client, but at the time I didn't know her. And so we sat down and she was just talking to me like we'd been best friends for a year and a half,
Yeah.
And I kind of laughed and she's like, sorry, this is probably weird. I really feel like I know you. And I was like, no, that's great. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
I was like, I love that. But her profile was private, which is oftentimes the case.
Yep.
Mine's very public. And so I didn't know as much about her. And so it's more just getting to know them at first. But the best thing about it is you're kind of, like you said, drawing in those people who are for you because you've shared enough personal things about you that people, I have friends who, like Macy, she's from California and she talks about being from San Diego and how it was to move here. So she gets other people who they're interested in that same thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm from Northern Idaho. I moved here almost 20 years ago and people will relate to that in different ways. So I have a lot more local clients. And it's funny, even my social media still pulls in those clients and people that I haven't talked to or wouldn't even think of me from 15 years ago from college that are like, oh yeah, I saw you doing real estate. I need your help. So that's, I would say, the biggest tool that got me there. And then just systems. Yeah. Using the right systems to organize yourself.
So let's not say just systems. Maybe let's hit pauses for a quick second because I'd love to understand what those systems are. Mm-hmm. But before we move on from social media, I think it's really helpful to unpack it just for just a quick second.
Yeah.
Your social media, whether you intentionally did it or not, was attracting like-minded people. Right?
Yes.
And where's the best place to fish?
Yeah.
In a pond that is full of like-minded people.
Yep.
right? So I think that's one of the things about social media that maybe just is misunderstood a little bit, or just maybe is not clicked for even me. It's like, hey, the stuff you put out there, it's going to resonate with an audience, and that audience is probably going to like you, right? Oh, and then when they think that they like you, then they're going to start following along, and then what? Well, then they think they know you, right? It's like, okay, but do they really know you? And that's the facade of social media. They don't really know you,
Right.
but they know a lot about you, or they know what you value, right? And then they find the same things that, oh, I value that too. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, they think they know you, or they like you and they think they know you. And it's like, well, shoot, let's get in touch. And then it's probably much easier to convert that into trust, right?
Oh yeah. At that point, it's more of just here's what the process looks like.
Right.
It's a, like, I guess what you would call a warm lead. I mean,
Very
at that
warm.
point, you've already been like DMing back and forth. I've sent them my buyer's guide. So then it kind of shows them, okay, this isn't just like some social media account. She actually has some things in place for me to review and look at. And it's kind of the saying goes, once you start getting the haters, then you know that you're going to start getting,
you get a troll, you know.
And so it's not always positive things.
No.
It can definitely be negative, and you just got to learn how to tune it out. Like I said, I mean, not everyone's for you. So, and that's totally fine. And there are times where I was very open about personal beliefs on certain things and thought, oh, I probably shouldn't be posting this. And I had a client who was like, that is exactly why I chose you, because I thought, wow, that's pretty gutsy for her to say that. And if she's going to be that genuine, then I think I can trust who she is. And I was like, oh, well, good. I'm glad you felt that way, because I really thought I was going to turn away people. So
that's probably what all of us need to hear, is social media is a place to give a take, to give your point of view, to make a stand for what you believe and talk about who you are, and then just be okay with the fact that 75% of people aren't going to be for that. And that's great, right?
Yeah.
But the other 25 that resonate, it's like, oh, you're my perfect client.
Well, exactly. You get the dreamiest clients from it, though.
There you go.
So I work with people who I just love and adore. I mean, I met up with one for coffee just to meet up and have mom talk, because it was just like, they're newer here and they're incredible people. And I'm just grateful to get to work with people like that.
Yeah.
So it's very well worth it to disregard the ones that aren't really for you.
So it started with a 90-day social media boot camp, effectively, that you were given an eyes wide open that this isn't going to be all that pleasant. It's
a lot of time. It's time to learn how to do reels and learn, do you do trending audio? And it's always changing, right? You do have to spend time on the app to understand what's going on. And I actually just took like almost a 6-month hiatus, which I've never done.
Really?
I was still on my stories here and there, but I did not post reels for a while. I was pretty sick with this one in the beginning. And so I just thought, okay, God, you'll take care of my business for me, because I just can't. And it was a very humbling moment where that has been a tool, and that's what's been driving my business and scaling it. But I still had people coming to me outside of that. And so it was a humbling moment to remember that, what is that scripture? It's like, if I wouldn't leave the birds or whoever to starve, so I would take care of you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that too. So
dressing the flowers of the field and feeding the birds of the air.
Yes. Yeah. So, I did take some time off, but because I had set such a habit of consistency for the last 2.5 years, I was able to take some time off, and now going back at it and slowly building it up again. So
you kind of earned the right to take some time off, right?
I guess you could say that. Yeah, maybe.
Well, and if your body said it was time, and then there's an opportunity again, like you said, that's where we can trust that God's a really good provider.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've just been reflecting on even this morning and almost in every conversation is that in this business, we don't know where our next deal or opportunity is going to come from. And I've got a friend who's looking for a job right now. And I was kind of joking to myself, like, well, I look for a job every day, right? We're looking for a new job every single day. And there's an element of peace that God's a really good provider, and he says, I'm going to give you your daily bread.
Right.
And that's enough, right? Sometimes that's going to look like abundance, and sometimes that's going to be just enough, but he's got us, right? And there's an element of trust there. And I never want to shy away from giving God glory, especially on this platform. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I actually, it was something I talked about in a reel. It was really cool. It was one of my reels that took off, and I was surprised. And it was one of those things, again, where, not everyone believes in God and putting yourself out there. But It was about my husband and I didn't really used to tithe very much, and we started really doing that. And I think that probably was also a big part of why my business took off so well. And every time we still, I always just pray like, you can do better with this than I can.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not all me, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a big part in that. For sure.
Open hands, right? If we're thinking about the resources that he gives to us, it's really not for us to hoard and bury in the backyard. It's really for us to have open hands. And it's so much easier to say it than it is to actually live it out and do it.
It's a lot harder. It was a very hard practice. But then once you do it for a while and you actually see like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. There's absolutely no other way this would have happened. And this money came out of nowhere, or this client or whatever it was. Once you see that the first time, it's amazing. And then a couple times after, then it's like, well, yeah, it's just a no-brainer. Like, why would I not do this? So yeah, it's a really cool thing to watch, for sure.
Yeah. And then I think as humans, we can twist it too, right? It's like, hey, if I give, then God's going to give it back. And the reality is that's not really how it works.
Right.
We give and we trust that he's got us, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And then it just happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, hey, there's reciprocity here where.
Yeah. I don't always think it's monetarily. I think it's, like for us, it was just like, I'm so busy, but I have such a peace. My home is happy. My kids are great. I mean, you just get it in so many different ways, right? Yeah. So that was my experience, but yeah.
Quick honor to my parents, which I don't always do on this show, but they were over for dinner on Friday night. My wife and daughter were out of town, and I call up my mom. I'm like, hey, me and the boys are home alone. You guys want to do dinner? She's like, we'll bring pizza over. I'm like, oh, great. And we got into a conversation and just about my upbringing. And she mentioned, yep, but we always tithed is what she said in our conversation. And I was like, yep, I recall that. And guess what? God is a great provider, and we were never without. Yeah. And sometimes we had seasons of tremendous abundance, and other times it was a little tighter, but God's faithful, right? Yep. And he knows what we need.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I would say that's a huge part of it. So to get back to your question, the doing social media, having obviously God as your focus, and then, I mean, I don't have like crazy systems. I'm very much, I love Excel. I don't want to have some crazy hefty CRM. And so I have a mix of that and like a little CRM so that everything's organized. But it really was those things. And I think above all of it, it was being in a room full of people who I have girls at my fingertips that I can just shoot a text and, hey, I don't have a TC. How do you hire? Who do you look for? What do you do? And one of the local agents here is who brought me the TC that I've used now for 2.5 years, and she's incredible. Or I don't know, like, how do you hire a showing assistant? What do you do? Like, I'm drowning with all these showings or whatever. Yeah. And having people who just, it's like, I compare it to a Lego set, right? My boys have Lego sets, and there's some that are still in a set, and there's some where it's a full box and you're like, oh man. But when we're working on something together, we were working one day, and he's like, I really want to build this Lego, Mom, but it's been torn up for a while. And so he was having a hard time. He's getting frustrated, not finding the right pieces. And I was like, well, what piece are you looking for? And so he'd say it out loud, and 2 seconds later, I'm like, oh, it's right here. And then I started building it with him. And so then I'd be like, oh man, I can't find this piece. He's like, oh, it's right here. And it was I just remember thinking of this as such a business thing of when you're in a room collaborating with other people. Real estate is such a competitive industry. Everybody knows a realtor. Yep. So you think you're competing against everybody, but in this room, because everyone's everywhere. We definitely have some more locals, which I want to try and get more local realtors in this room too. But everyone's everywhere, that we're all willing to just share everything. And so they just already have, I've been there. I'm going to hold the ladder at the bottom while you climb up, and I'll tell you exactly how to get there. And that has been the biggest piece of getting where I am now from where I was before.
So influences matter, right? So
Yeah.
getting yourself in the right room, meeting the right people, obviously is a huge step in the right direction. And then actually implementing what somebody would suggest from that room, right? Which in your case started out with 90 days suck of social media.
Yeah, I hate saying it that way, but I was like, well, she's not wrong.
But it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked tremendously well. And I think if I looked at your Instagram account earlier today, I think you're at 5,000 plus followers, which is not nothing. That's a very, very nice audience of people that love you, right?
Yeah.
And
I always say it doesn't. Well, sorry, go ahead.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like, I think people really look at views and going viral and all these
Yeah.
things. And I started focusing more on, because I would have some reels. Anytime I travel, if I do a reel about Florida or Scottsdale or whatever, it's like they pop off. It's 500,000 views and all these likes and all these shares.
Whoa.
But that's not my business. It brings people to my page. That's just like, hey, my husband and I went on this great trip. Here's a great trip you can take from Boise to Scottsdale for a 2-hour direct flight. It's awesome.
There you go.
And I love to share it. But that's not what's bringing me my clients. What's bringing my clients is home tours or talking about how you sell your home or whatever. And those get a lot less. But I've noticed when you go for engagement over views, so views being, so many views on your reel,
Right.
engagement being more likes, more shares, more saves. If someone's actually sharing with a friend, they're finding it really valuable.
Right.
So if they're like, oh, my friend needs to sell their house and she just gave these tips, I'm going to share it with them. That's a lot more important and a lot more impactful and going to bring me a client more than something that's going to go viral usually.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good distinction, I think.
Yeah.
And it requires testing things. It requires
Yep.
looking at the data. It
Lots of trial
requires
and error.
right, actually studying and analyzing, hey, what's worked, what's not worked, what is actually bringing business in for me versus what's just getting eyeballs, right?
For sure. Yep.
So, cool. I was just going to go kind of into the systems next. Tell us a little bit about systems and why you would say systems are important.
I mean, with timelines, you've got to have a system, right? We get into a contract and you need to know when your inspection's coming up, when this deadline is. But I feel like, and again, I'm not running like a crazy huge business. I've sat at that kind of $7 million to $10 million mark. And what has worked well for me is just keeping it simple.
Yeah.
So I love an Excel spreadsheet. My entire career from 2019 to now, I can look at my entire business. So I can look at my stats, what sold well. There were a couple homes that sat on the market longer than I wanted them to. And then, how many have sold over asking, how many sold for multiple offers. That's what I talked about yesterday in my listing class. And I'm not your top listing agent, but when I list a home, I have a really good formula that's worked really well because I look at those numbers.
Yeah.
So just keeping that, because Excel is just easy. It's just numbers, right? Like it tells a story. And that's why I like using numbers. The same thing with the different data that we get from the MLS. I take it and manipulate it to tell me how many homes are selling over asking today in the last 3 weeks, how many are selling at asking, how many are selling under asking.
Right.
And that gives me and my clients really good confidence to say, oh, okay, I'm okay putting $40,000 over asking because that house just sold for 60 over. And if we get it for this is actually a great deal. Because that's a lot of money over asking. And so you have to have those numbers to tell you what is happening right now.
Yep.
So I've really relied on just my Excel spreadsheet. I have a couple of different tabs that do different things. And then outside of that, I use just like one little, like a Trello software.
Yep. I know Trello.
Yep. And so that keeps me organized for just like all my, every part of it. You get the same process every single time. So at this step, this is what we need to do. At this step, this is what we need to do. This is when I'm going to come and bring you cookies because we're excited about this or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Trello is kind of like a whiteboard on your computer screen.
Yes.
But it's always
whiteboards
clean.
Are great. Yes. Yeah. I do have whiteboards, but I notice I don't update them as much as Trello because my phone's always with me.
Yeah.
And obviously we're out and about a lot.
Yeah.
So I do like, I think having a visual though it depends on the person. For me, I have to see it. So that's why I like everything laid out in Excel or on a whiteboard is a great way to do it. So yeah.
So what I heard is the type of data matters as well, right? Because you can have a noisy, messy spreadsheet with everything under the sun, but you're slicing and dicing on the correct data points, right?
Yeah.
And that matters a lot because there is a story in the numbers and not everybody knows how to put the numbers together or analyze them to find the narrative, right? So.
Yeah, I started doing that honestly years ago, and I realized I was pulling data from the MLS that they actually already do for us. And so finally, after a couple of years, I was like, oh my gosh, I can just click this button and pull the numbers I want from there.
There you go.
But when they don't get it out as quick as I want, it's nice to know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science at all. It's more of just getting them into a spreadsheet and then saying, okay, what sold? What was the asking price?
Yeah.
How much over under? What were the closing costs? What should my sellers? I like to know what to expect. So I'm telling them, hey, we're seeing, 50% of homes that sell are seeing about a $10,000 closing cost concession from the seller. That's not what's happening today, but whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? The example, so that I want them to be well prepped. I mean, selling a home is, it's just stressful. I mean, it just is, right? So we try to take as much of that off. And I think when you know what to expect, that kind of helps.
Absolutely.
So
100%. You can set the right expectation for your client, whether they're a buyer or a seller on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to love you for that. Even though telling the truth sometimes sucks a little bit on the front end. It's like,
not always fun.
yeah, maybe that house isn't worth what you want. I'm so sorry. Or maybe you guys just need to be aware that, this is going to cost you in concessions. That's the market that we're in.
Yep.
Or empowering your buyers, like you said, of, hey, you've had homes in this same area that have gone over asking. So maybe we're going to have to go over asking to get it.
Yeah.
All that data is super, super helpful. And being data driven, I think, again, would endear people to you. Ultimately, maybe not initially. It just kind of depends on.
I would say it definitely builds trust. I've told people more often than not, especially as our market's, it's been, kind of wild again this year. They'll ask me, do you think the home is worth it? I'm like, oh, that's a loaded question. Probably not, but that doesn't mean the market's not going to drive it there. So what's it worth it to you, right? It's satisfied customers never cheated is my slogan. So if you really want this home and you really want to stay in, I had one client who they really want to stay in the school district and they really want this house. And I was like, quite frankly, here's the numbers. This is my opinion. I do think it's too much. But they knew that full well and they decided to still buy it and they felt very comfortable doing it and they knew exactly where it was. And in hindsight, thank God they did because nothing else came up. And that's why the demand was so high, right? Yeah. There was no inventory. So had they not bought it, they wouldn't have been able to move. So it's just a really good tool to say, it's not my opinion. It's not this is what is happening. Here are the numbers. And I think that just builds trust and rapport really quickly.
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Very, very well said. Mic drop moment, although it's on a stand, so you can't drop it. Cool. Back to our 7X in 1 year. We've talked about social media. Well, we got in the right room, social media systems. Anything else that you would say was instrumental in that success?
Just being around, like I said, those people, because every single week like yesterday, I taught a class on how to list a home. Yep. That class would have been really helpful for me right away when I was brand new. And I had countless girls after inside our group saying, oh my gosh, can you send me the template? And I was like, yeah. And that's totally happened to me where normally you don't have someone sharing. I mean, those took me hours to build. I mean, they're my flyers, my mailers, my door knockers that I use for my listings. But because we're all collaborating, it was like, absolutely. And so I'm just sharing whatever with them. And that same thing has happened to me. My listing guide, I got part of that from my one girl in my group, and it's a really great listing guide. And so, of course, I made it my own, but it's having those tools that are just right there that I didn't have before. And so it really leveled up how I was able to present myself. It's also helped me sometimes turn down a deal where I'm like, I don't know if we're a good fit. And I wouldn't have probably felt confident enough to do that before. Yeah. But it doesn't happen very often, but it's happened before. Or, they're like, hey, we're going to go with this one. They said they'll charge us way less and they'll do this and that. And you're like, all right, go ahead. Good for you. I hope it works out well.
Right.
And one of them, the house sold where I said to list it at, and months later. So it was a bummer. Cause like, oh man, I wish I would have had that one and I would have sold it for more because we would have listed it lower. Yeah. It would have increased demand. And then you wouldn't have paid that mortgage extra months on top of it. But it's still a really good way to, we go to that group and it's like, hey, who's having a problem that we need to solve? That's all we're ever trying to do for our clients and for each other. And so the beginning of the call always starts with, what are your wins for the week? And if we have gone through a presentation where we've done, I've learned staging tips from there. I've learned listing tips from there. When your listing goes stale, 2023 was a really hard correction market here. Yeah. So that was really helpful. Some girls had some really great insight for things that they do that I would have just never thought of otherwise. So when my clients are working with me, it's not just me. I'm going to this room of hundreds of agents who are way better than me, who have done it for way longer. Yeah. And saying, this is my problem. What do I do with it? And there's always a resource.
I think there's a lot of humility there is what I'm hearing as well, right? It's not just you. Like,
Right.
you're actually submitting yourself to a group of people that have maybe been there, done that, have more experience, less experience, just kind of depends on the situation, right?
Yeah.
But you're going with an open mind to either give or to receive, depending on what it is.
Right.
And that's a lot of power behind your ability to then take that back to your clients and to the marketplace, right? It's like, hey, I mean, just like you said in Legos, right? Your son or you, as soon as you made it known, it was like, oh, we were able to solve the problem so much faster, right? We were able to find the piece, which, good gosh, what a great illustration. As a kid who grew up with Legos, that was so many hours of my life spent looking for pieces.
Yeah.
Mom, can you come help me find this piece?
Yeah.
And then as a parent, it's like, oh crap, I don't want to go spend 20 minutes looking for this Lego piece.
Yeah,
But
that's like being in this room. It's like I can give you a bucket of Legos and say, go build a real estate business. Or I could give you a nice clean package with an instruction manual and all the right pieces there. You just have to put them in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it is. It's being given the tools and running with it. So that's been the biggest impact for sure.
Love that. I don't think we need to say much more about that.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does it feel like to be one of Carly's clients, whether it's on the selling side or
I feel like
the
I have to have
buying
a
side?
client answer that. I mean, I will say I get some reviews that have made me teary-eyed. So I guess I can speak from some of those since I can't really speak for them. But I've had some repeat clients who have bought and sold 4 to 5 homes with me, and that is it's just such a compliment, right?
Yeah.
Or refer people to me, that the fact that they trust me enough to trust me with their really close friends and family. But I feel like at the end of the day, I used to feel like I had to be so polished and have to be perfect, and you want to show up, and I mean, you're selling hundreds of thousands of dollars of a product. Like, you
Right.
want to take it seriously.
Yeah.
But then I found that sometimes that almost like puts a block in your rapport with people, and it almost makes you a little closed off feeling. And so I've really relaxed, and, sometimes I get to just like play auntie while my clients are looking at the house, and I'm hanging out with their 3 little girls, and they literally called me. I've had so many kids who call me auntie,
Oh, that's
and
fun.
it's the sweetest thing. And I just get to hang out with them while mom and dad are looking at the house. Cause I'm like, hey, I know how it is. I have 3 little kids. You can't focus. You're trying to look at this house that you're going to buy.
Yeah.
So I've heard some sweet things on my reviews as far as just feeling like it was, one of their really good friends or family members helping them. And I'm trying to think of some others. It really just ended up being a really great transaction. If there was hiccups, because it just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
How we handle them and just hitting it full force and saying, hey, this is what's going on. I had a seller who was selling his house, and it was not a phone call I wanted to make. It's my second ever price reduction. I was like, listen, I thought I was right on it, and I still think I was, but the home down the street within a couple weeks of us listing took a huge discount, and they took an offer that was way below what they should have. And so
Undercut.
that's obviously going to affect our home.
Yeah.
So I said, we can sit here, but if we move fast, that's probably best. And so I think it's just, sometimes you got to say stuff you don't want to say.
Yep.
And treating your clients' money like your own. I mean, it's sometimes you can't do it too much because you got to stay out of it emotionally. But also, like, these are really big transactions, regardless if they have tons of income or not. I hate to see someone waste $1. So
Right.
I'm always trying my best to just be upfront and move quickly.
Love that.
Yeah. Thanks.
This is a big question to conclude us here. So
Okay.
hopefully I don't continue us on for 20 minutes, but if so, it'll be good.
Okay.
If we've got folks listening, agents specifically listening, saying, hey, I'm systems resistant because I don't really want to make somebody feel like they're just part of a system. Or, hey, I want to grow, but I'm really hesitant to hire a TC.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about what encouragement or what truth would you share with that person?
Well, one, I'm right there with them. I did not want to hire TC. And because you really have to trust that person, and you're letting go of some of your business. But I think once you kind of rip off the Band-Aid, there's no way I could be where I'm at by myself. There's just no way. It's night and day. You have people collaborating with you. I was on the phone with my TC talking about an inspection negotiation on the way here. And I never walk away with just what my thought was, right? She's always bringing something to the table. And quite honestly, she does more transactions a month than I do. So she has a lot that she helps me with. So I would say it's scary, but you have to just lean into that. That's just how you scale.
Yep.
And yeah, you never want your clients to feel, I mean, my social media is always going to be me, right? I'm never going to outsource that.
Right.
I always say that, and my kids, like I'll outsource house cleaning. I'll outsource. I've done laundry. I'll outsource all kinds of things. If it'll give me more time with my kids and more time to just be present with my clients when I can be, I'll outsource it. But when it comes to systems, I wouldn't say you're plugging and chugging and making them feel a certain way. If anything, you're giving them, right away when someone's reaching out, I'm giving them a little piece of what it looks like to work with me. Here's my buyer's guide. Right away, it's like, oh, wow, she put some thought into this. If they're coming, most often they're coming to town for, a weekend or a couple days, and they're not here to buy. And I never want to make them feel pressured. I don't want you in my space when I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not going to try and go anywhere. So I usually say, hey, if you want to meet for coffee for 20 minutes, I'd love to meet you face to face. But I totally get this is like a trip for you to come check out the area. If not, let me send you this itinerary. And so based on the area, like who they are, I always ask them in questions of like, what's your lifestyle? Do you like being out biking, hiking? Are you more of like you love shopping? What do you want to do? And then I'll pick places for lunches or parks for the kids or whatever. And I'll write them this is what I would do in a full day if I was here. Here's the neighborhoods I would drive through. You're not looking at houses yet, but you're trying to imagine your life here. And I think those things go really far. I think it makes it feel very personal. And it is. It takes me a long time to do those emails because it is very personal to that one person. But the systems in place that got us to that conversation, they're, I don't think they make them feel cold. I think it makes them just see a little bit of like, oh, this is what it's going to look like to work with you.
Yeah.
She has organization.
That's good. I would say people never want to feel like they're part of a system.
Right.
But they like the results of being a part of a system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so your front end is very warm and the execution of it is awesome, but the back end is thoughtful, systematized, data-driven.
Yeah. Well, if it's not organized, it wouldn't be happening. So you got to have some organization in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Lots of gold here in this conversation. So really, really appreciate you spending your time with us. We all get to choose how we spend our time. So I want this conversation to be valuable for you personally, as well as your clients or your future clients or past clients. We hope that it's honoring for you. And also we want it to be valuable to others that would listen to, the professional entrepreneurial audience that we're trying to build here as well. So thank you so much for sharing all of those gold nuggets today. We really, really appreciate it. If there's somebody that's listening, watching that doesn't know you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you if they're wanting to learn from you or potentially hire you to be their agent?
Yeah. My Instagram, probably, Hey Carly Anderson.
Okay.
I'm on there a lot. So I respond pretty quickly there.
Great. We'll throw that on the screen. And again, we appreciate you spending your time with us here today.
Thank you.
And God bless you as you get ready to give birth.
Thank
to
you.
Baby number 4.
We're very excited. Thank you for having me, Gavin. This has been fun. I loved it. Thank you.